Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. The world will change with the change in me. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. The world will change with the change in me. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. The world will change with the change in me. The world will change with the change in me. Good morning.
I'm going to do that again with the mic
yes.
on. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Vicky Elder, and it's my joy and honor to welcome you to Unity of Monterey Bay, a beloved community co-created with love and intention that welcomes all races, nationalities, cultures, and religions, regardless of immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, and/or disabilities. Whether you're here with us in person or joining us virtually, we know that love knows no boundaries. We are one in spirit. As a purpose-driven church, Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community committed to co-creating an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just, and compassionate human presence on this planet. We celebrate our oneness and honor the God of each of our understanding, affirming the innate good and divine essence within each and every individual. Would you please join me in our statement of faith? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. We continue to pray for peace, holding a vision in which every person is valued in a world that works for all. To be the peace we want to see in the world, we do not turn away from the pain and suffering of war, but rather we allow our hearts to be broken open by it and filled with compassion. And seeking to strengthen our conviction, we imagine ourselves now in a room filled with people from all over the world, many who represent cultures and traditions very different from our own, including some that our nation is currently in conflict with, and still yet we affirm together. Please repeat after me. I offer you peace.
I offer you peace.
I offer you love.
I offer you love.
I offer you friendship.
I offer you friendship.
I see your beauty.
I see your beauty.
I hear your needs.
I hear your needs.
I feel your feelings.
I feel your feelings.
My wisdom flows from the highest source.
My wisdom flows from the highest source.
I salute that source in you.
I salute that source in you.
Let us work together in unity and love.
Let us work together in unity and love.
And from this place of peace and prayerful intention, we now celebrate our children, those in our community, in our families, and all the children all around the world, holding them in our hearts and seeing them protected and resilient, creative and evolving, joyous and loved, as we join in our heartfelt blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, just the way you are.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
issue. Is this going to reach over there? Is it? There we go. Okay. All right, so let's all take a deep breath in now and let it out with an audible sigh. As we center ourselves to embrace this blissful interconnection with Spirit, and as we invite the chime to call us into the sacred space within. We ring the chime 4 times to call in the 4 directions and to remind us of our interconnection with all of creation and with the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonate through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Continuing to focus on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us. We move beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, we breathe our awareness into the highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace we can imagine, as we experience a transforming wave of gratitude. And with a fullness of heart, we say yes to it all, embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And with a final exhale, we say, thank you, God. So now fully centered and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
I definitely need this. We read from today's Daily Word, shared with permission of Unity, publisher of the Daily Word, that can also be found at dailyword.com. And the word today is freedom. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. Taking responsibility for my life leads me to freedom. Each life has its share of ups and downs. Like most people, I have felt blessed by my happy experiences and laid low by my more difficult ones. I have used the spiritual tools of forgiveness and gratitude to learn from and move beyond my more painful experiences. This kind of spiritual housekeeping is my key to lasting freedom by releasing blame and regret over and over again if necessary. I am ensuring that I will not be bound by the past and limited by an outworn image of myself. Life is dynamic, and so am I. My growth is dependent upon my forward movement, and I commit to embracing the freedom that comes from leaving the past behind. With gratitude, I bless the person I was. With faith, I reach unencumbered for the person I am becoming. And from scriptures, for you were called to freedom, brothers and sisters, Galatians 5:13.
I am that I am has brought me to that I am has brought me to this now moment. Here I am to be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. To be the voice and to be the heart through which heaven is made known on earth. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am.
In witness to the wisdom of the many paths to the sacred, we read from 3 sacred editions on this morning's topic, Making Room for Grace. From Baha'i, thou hast no desire except the regeneration of the whole world and the establishment of the unity of its peoples and the salvation of all of them that dwell therein. From Sikhism, the grace of God may come to the scholar or the unlettered, the high or the low, the rich or the poor. It does not depend on birth, knowledge, wisdom, or penance. Those who seek his grace through service and humility understand the purpose of life. Fire lies dormant in wood. One has to kindle it by effort. To realize the truth is to get in tune with the infinite. From Christianity and from his fullness have we all received grace upon grace. For the law was given to Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. John 1:16 through 17.
I used to think I had to have my own way, could do everything on my own, living my life like a one-woman play, feeling confused and alone. Still I held on tight to the life that I knew, till it wasn't the life I'd remembered. Finally admitted I hadn't a clue, opened my arms in surrender. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. I want to live without making demands, asking for help when I need it, being happy just doing the best that I can. When I stumble, I won't be defeated. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day. Since I made room for grace, I made room for grace. Opened up a space. If I had insisted on all that I'd wanted, I see I'd have sold myself short. But when I stopped resisting, I got what I needed and so much more. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive since I made room for grace. I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day. Since I made room for grace, since I made room for grace. Beautiful. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. That was another one of those sort of last minute. I said, Denise, do you have the music for this? We got the music. She got the music, so thank you. So this is week 3 of our mini-series on living abundantly, embracing our unlimited good, which was first inspired, as I shared a few weeks ago, by a mini crisis in faith that I was having a few months ago. I'd gotten caught up in worldly affairs. I know none of you know anything about that. The war in Ukraine, the growing threats to our democracy, the regression in equality and equity and freedom in our nation, climate change. I could go on, but I won't because I know you all have your own list. In short, I was experiencing some despair, feeling more and more distant from God, and beginning to question, is God good all the time? But I wasn't even really fully aware of this growing crisis in faith. You know, it sort of floats around in the background and shows up now and then, but it didn't come front and center in my life until I received the Unity booklet, Living Abundantly, Embrace Your Unlimited Good. In other words, I hadn't been paying attention. My meditation practice had diminished. I wasn't feeling that joy that is normal for me, and I was rationalizing it all with a growing cynicism about the world, not recognizing how my focus had shifted. My wake-up call didn't come with the booklet so much as in my initial response to the title of the booklet, which went something like, "Yeah, right." That immediately jolted something in me because it was counter to my grounding, my faith, all that I've done and worked on for the past 30 plus years. There was this palpable jolt inside of me, like, whoa, where did that come from? It made me realize that I had unconsciously slipped into living backwards and I needed to shift. In essence, to reground myself in spirit and back to mindfully living from the inside out. But here's the thing. We always live from the inside out. It's the law of mind action. Thoughts we hold in mind demonstrate in our experience of living. The question then becomes, where is our mind focused? What is determining our thoughts? Are we being ego-driven? Focused on the world of appearances? In essence, are we asleep? Or are we awake, consciously focusing our attention on the truth and using it as our lens to view the world? Once I shifted my focus and engaged again in spiritual study to strengthen the connection, which is what all of the blessings of teaching, because as I have to prepare for Sundays, it makes me go deeper into the truth, and I teach what I most need to learn. But I again began to understand that our unlimited good, in essence, all that we need to grow spiritually in consciousness, exists in the invisible spiritual realm. In fact, it is the very essence of God creating. Notice God as a verb there, not as a noun, ever calling and supporting us and all of life to evolve into our full potentiality, into the realization of our eternal oneness with being, loving, living, creating, enjoying, connecting, pacifying, in essence, making peace, enlightening, etc. Note, like God, our true essence is a verb, not a noun. It's not a person we are. It's an energy, a force, a consciousness that is our essence. So in week 1 of this series, we concluded with a 4-step process of how we spiritually live abundantly, in essence, from the inside out. How we, in our daily walk, translate our apparent human wants into fulfilling our true spiritual desires. Briefly review, step 1 is to explore every human want that comes into our consciousness: a new car, a new job, a promotion, a new house. Whatever it is in the outer world that comes into our consciousness is something we want. We ask ourselves, so what is the state of being I'm really searching for? What's the experience that I really want that this would represent? Why do I want this? What quality do I want to have within me? Step 2 is realizing that that quality, once we've identified it, is already an integral part of who we are, of our true inherent self. And our job is just to claim it. We wouldn't be able to imagine it if we didn't already have it within us. Step 3, evolving that quality within ourselves from the inside out through visualization and affirmation until it becomes our state of being, until we identify fully that that already is who we are. And step 4, knowing and trusting that that evolved inner state of being will draw to us our highest and best outer demonstration to fill our highest desires. In short, first be, then do, then have. Most of us sort of live that differently. We think we need to have the car or the job in order to do something that will make us feel or be something. But we know that's the backwards way. That's the worldly way of living, and we're choosing the spiritual way. So last week we looked at the flip side of manifesting our good, namely being open to receive, realizing that it's all about living love abundantly. Love being the path to healing ourselves and our world, like healing our old programming of thoughts and beliefs, our fears, and our sense of separation, thereby making us more capable of receiving our good and sharing it with others, which is the true essence of abundant and generous life. We also clarified the spiritual meaning of love, using the Revealing Words definition as love being an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody, and by refusing to see anything but good, calls forth that good in all beings and all things, the great harmonizer and healer. Finally, we explored the eternal nature of love as an ever-present and expanding force and power through the personal experiences of Reverend Kelly Isola and myself, both of us having lost the human expression representing the love of our lives. Both of us noted that we continue to experience our beloved's fingerprints everywhere, reminders calling us out of our comfort zones to live and love large, allowing our hearts to be broken open and choosing love over fear again and again, proving that love never dies and that the more we live love abundantly, the more we give it away at every opportunity, the more it expands into the world, transforming not only the giver of the love, but everybody that that life touches. Today, we're going to explore how to expand our experience and realization of God's infinite good in our lives by embracing change and celebrating our authentic selves gracefully. Once again, the article topics in this Living Abundantly booklet have been spot on. Even as the details of the stories of our lives may be different, the very topics what caught my attention were the titles. For me, it's been sort of like an alarm set on snooze. Every time I go to another article, it's another wake-up call to be sure I stay awake as long as I don't turn off on the stop, right? You just got to keep snoozing and having it keep going off. The variety of stories are also a reminder that embracing our unlimited good is about evolving into our most authentic, highest, and best selves by seeking and fulfilling our deepest desires in every aspect of our lives, not just in relationships, not just in our vocation or our work, not just in our finances, not just in our health, but in every aspect of our lives, regardless of the outer circumstances. Now that's a key point, because the promise of God's unlimited good is not a promise that our lives will be without challenges or changes or even heartbreak. Rather, it's a promise that there is always a way to navigate and grow through every experience and circumstance in a way that will expand our capacity to be more of who we truly are, expressions of the divine, and a promise that we're never alone in the journey. In short, embracing our unlimited good includes learning to embrace life's changes and challenges with grace as we evolve into and celebrate our true, authentic selves. Now, as with many Christian concepts, unity has its own understanding of grace, which could be a lesson or a class in and of itself. But for our purposes this morning, I'm going to summarize unity's understanding of grace with just a few quotes. The first is from Lowell Fillmore, the oldest son of Charles and Myrtle, who took over the work of leading Unity after his father died and continued serving on the board until his death at age 94, which was in 1975. Lowell described grace very simply in his 1956 Unity Weekly article as God's love in action. The book Grace Awakening, prepared by Unity's prayer department in 1993, said this: "The word grace is synonymous with love. It is unconditional, impartial, and unsolicited. It is perpetually operative and fully accessible to all. There is nothing we can do that will increase its availability, but we can resist it by holding thoughts and feelings opposed to the nature of love or the nature of being." In other words, like love, grace is principle. It is the ever-present upward progressive movement of life in consciousness and demonstration that supports all of us all the time, as it is the very nature of life and love and God, and thus our own nature as well. And as creative beings ourselves, we can resist it through our thoughts and beliefs, because our thoughts and beliefs create our experience of life. So grace and God can be all around us, but if we put ourselves in a closet and say it's not there, it isn't there in our experience, but it never goes away. As we discussed last week, we have to be open to receive our infinite good, and that includes God's grace. And we do that through prayer, affirmation, study, reflection, mindfulness, and correcting and healing are often childhood error thoughts and wounds, choosing love over fear in each instance. It takes courage to change our beliefs, to step out of what we know, to challenge the lessons we learned in childhood and step out as an individual into new ideas and new beliefs and truth. The article in the booklet, Change Gracefully, opens with the familiar metaphor of leaves naturally changing each year, falling gracefully to the ground wherever the wind blows them without any fear or drama. Imagine if we did that. They trust the process. If you read the article, you know that the change the author, Reverend Evan Wilkins, is addressing is claiming his male gender identity as an adult after being erroneously assigned as female gender at birth and raised as a girl. He shares that he'd first been inspired by a television documentary in which 4 brave transgender souls shared their personal journeys. Their courage inspired Evan to claim his true identity, awakening the grace within him that would help him heal and overcome his feelings of fear and shame and possible rejection in the outer world, because he was becoming grounded in God's love and grace within him. It ultimately allowed him to transform, in his words, from a lonely caterpillar into the beautiful butterfly he'd always been on the inside. Evan concludes his article saying that, as difficult as that journey was, it taught him how to navigate change of any kind in his life with the ease and grace of a leaf upon the wind. And it has given him the freedom to truly celebrate who he is. Like Evan, we all face challenges and changes throughout our lives. The details of our stories differ, but every experience can support us in becoming and celebrating the true self that is our unique identity, just as Evan did. The key is learning how to navigate change from the inside out, in essence, with ease and grace. The title, Change Gracefully, caught my attention because over the past few years, I've been navigating the potential and inevitable changes coming as I move into the next chapter of my life, shifting from role to soul. Doesn't that sound like ease and grace? Shifting from role to soul? At least that's how I had envisioned making this transition. I even bought the book, The Inner Work of Age, Shifting from Role to Soul, last December. But somehow I haven't gotten into reading it until this week. Through this wake-up journey that I'm on, however, I realized that by living backwards and focusing outward, I had been sabotaging my ease and grace. It didn't start out that way. In fact, I'd been very intentional and feeling pretty grace-guided as I navigated this shift from role to soul over the past few years. I wasn't even needing a detailed map. I was just trusting the process. But somewhere along the way, my focus got diverted to the outer world. And as I reflected on it yesterday, as I was preparing this lesson and just contemplating the topic, I'm realizing that our 2-year COVID detour likely played a major distracting role in that distraction for me. That we sort of lived through it, but I realized all of our focus became, what next? Now what do we do? And especially not only living our personal lives, but Michelle and I, so now what do we do at church? Do we let people in? Do we not let people in? Or do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? How do we live stream this? How do we make sure people can hear us? All of the details and busyness of life took over. And while in some ways many people thought that they didn't just think, many people took that time to reflect and grow gardens and do all kinds of things. One of the things that happens in ministry is that we get confused that doing the work of ministry is doing our spiritual work, and it isn't always the same. There are a lot of crossovers, like doing a lesson calls me back into principle, but trying to make sure we're there to present a spiritual experience for others doesn't always translate into living one ourselves. So, whatever the cause, I stopped listening to my inner guidance and I lost my spiritual grounding, making space for ego-based fears to seep in as I began or continued contemplating all the potential changes from an outer perspective, rather than from my inner guidance. For example, if I give up my roles as West Central Regional Representative and the Chair of Standards, which is the policy-making committee of Unity Worldwide Ministries, will I lose my purpose, my relevance, my agency? Will I end up regretting that decision? The fears were, as fears do, messing with my mind, creating more anxiety and stress and confusion than ease and grace, which isn't how I usually roll, which was another alert for me that something was off. Gratefully, now that I've resumed my meditation practice and regrounded myself in spiritual principle, which is something I need to do every day, it isn't like, okay, now I've done it, which so often we're so good about things till things clear up, and then we go, okay, God, I've got it now. And I'm committing that I'm not going to do that. But again, I'm listening to my inner guidance and no longer letting the world drown it out. The result is my path forward, just like in the song, has become clear. I still don't need a detailed map, but I definitely am getting the next steps, and it's being filled with ease and grace. In closing, I want to share one more story about changing gracefully and opening to God's good that so truly demonstrates what it means for all of us. It's a story lived and shared with many of us by our beloved friend Jennifer Jones, who made her transition last year. I was privileged and blessed to midwife and witness Jen's embrace of grace and her infinite good as she navigated the ultimate change we will all eventually face, her death. Jen was faced with a sudden and devastating cancer diagnosis. And very quickly, every door to recovery was being closed. As they would do additional tests, things were getting worse, not better. Jen and I talked extensively at the beginning as she worked through confusion, fear, and frustration, trying to integrate what was happening to her with her current understanding of her faith and her God. In unity, we do manifest with our thoughts and our beliefs, but we're not in control of the whole journey, obviously, and we all ultimately die at some point. But there's some confusion and often some metaphysical malpractice when we get sick with an illness and think if we can't cure it, that we're doing something wrong. The fact is, we live a journey in our lives. How we experience the things that come into our lives is totally in our control. Other things are partially in our control. Doesn't mean we don't have an influence on our physical beings, that we can't help ourselves be healthier and such. We have a lot of that power, but we don't have ultimate power. So Jen was confused, and at first she felt quite abandoned by God. And that triggered her earliest and deepest childhood wound of being abandoned by her mother, who died in a car crash when Jen was very young. And it was a wound that had sort of been with her open throughout her life. But as we talked, she began to allow her perspective to expand beyond her current understanding. She stopped trying to figure out why. And she began to focus on the truth that I kept repeating and what I know she believed in her heart, that God never abandons us, that love never leaves us, regardless of the worldly appearances. And as she opened her heart and mind to this knowing, she experienced a miracle. Not the miracle of her cancer being cured, but the miracle of healing her inner child and her soul, as she experienced the presence of love in and all around her, the love of her mother and the love of God, the love she thought that had abandoned her, but it hadn't. As Unity minister and writer Margaret Pounders shares in her book, Laws of Love, grace is an inner realization that we are already one with God, always have been, and always will be. The only separation is a false belief in our own mind. Grace is simply the truth of being that which we are. Jennifer's miracle was that realization. She spent the remaining days of her earthly life sharing love and being loved by her closest friends and family. And we who were blessed to have witnessed this miracle have also been transformed by it, and by Jennifer's faith, love, and grace through that final chapter of her earth journey. And as with all grace and love, it continues to express through everyone her life touched, as we each get reminded again and again by sightings of Jennifer's fingerprints, calling us all to choose love. Namaste.
God is here, God is now, God is all. is perfect and right in my world.
So I invite you now, if you haven't already done so, to just get comfortable in your seat. Gently close your eyes if that's comfortable. And begin to bring that focus from the outer world and all its distractions to that inner sanctuary, that inner chamber where we can rest in God. Taking a deep breath in, letting it out slowly, feeling peace and relaxation come to your body. And taking another deep breath in, releasing it slowly and experiencing that letting go. Just allowing your awareness to go to the places in your body that you might be holding tension and tightness. Maybe your shoulders are hunched or your jaw is clenched. I invite you to just bring gentle relaxation to those areas. Allowing your hands to rest gently. Continuing to breathe into an awareness of this present moment. It is in this moment, in this sacred time of communion with the God of each of our understanding, with the inner God, with the higher self, that we experience grace. Grace is a mystery. There's nothing that we can do to earn it. There's nothing that we can do to lose it. Grace is like the air we breathe. It just is. It's all around us, built into the very fabric of the universe. Grace means that we keep getting another chance over and over. Grace means that we can begin each day, each moment anew. Grace means that it's never too late to shift, to change, to start again, to grow. Grace means that no matter what is happening in our lives, no matter what we may be going through, we never have to do it alone. This infinite, loving presence of God is always with us. The only thing that changes is our awareness of it and our ability to open ourselves ever more fully to its healing presence. Grace means that all things can be made for good, that there is a blessing in everything. And by choosing love, choosing grace, we allow that goodness to manifest in our lives. So I invite you now to just spend a few moments peacefully resting in this amazing, healing, infinitely loving grace of God in the silence. So as we gently prepare now to bring this time to a close, we allow our hearts to be filled with gratitude, and we give thanks for this moment's experience of grace, for the grace that we know is always available to us, and for this moment of awakening to it. And so we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us. I wish for a new voice. Who give of our time, talent, and treasure in order to sustain this spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. We know that prosperity is a state of mind that finds blessings in every situation and abundance in joyous generosity. We transform all appearance of fear or lack into faith-filled peace of mind by shifting our attention to thoughts of gratitude for the abundance of God's good in our lives. And with our hearts and minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe into the divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough, that we have enough, and that there always is enough to both have and share. Again, we are grateful to all of you for your online giving through our website at unityofmontereybay.org and through our mailed-in offerings, including those who have set up automatic giving with our banking institutions. We are truly blessed. For those of you here in person, the baskets are in the back at the end of the aisle and by the door for you to drop in your offering as you leave this morning. And now, from this place of faith and gratitude, I invite you to join me in mindful intention in joining in our offertory blessing. I am an open channel for God's infinite good, divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God. I don't know. Oh, goodness.
Spirit, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are beautiful. Here in the light that surrounds us, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are powerful. Spirit, we are powerful. Trusting in the mind that guides us, we are powerful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Thank you for the life that sustains us. We are bountiful. Spirit, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are beautiful. Here in the light that surrounds us, we are beautiful. Spirit, we are powerful. Spirit, we are powerful. Trusting in the mind that guides us, we are powerful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Spirit, we are bountiful. Thank you for the life that sustains us. We are bountiful. Spirit,
Beautiful,
Spirit,
powerful,
Spirit,
beautiful,
Spirit,
bountiful,
Spirit,
beautiful,
Spirit,
powerful,
Spirit,
beautiful,
Spirit,
bountiful.
We'd like to thank the composers and musicians whose music we used today: Denise Rosier, Richard Burdick, Sue Riley, Melinda Wood Allen, and Kelly Green. And of course, our awesome music team, as always. Yay, everyone who... Marianne. Okay, for announcements, we refer you to our e-blast. Next Saturday is our second spring cleaning day. So if you've got the cleaning bug, come to my house, not the church, no. You are invited to show up at 9 o'clock, and there will be instructions provided about what's going to be done that day. So it's 9 to noon. And we thank you for your service. As we bring our service to a close this morning, we are so grateful that you have joined us, whether you're here with us in person or you're watching on Facebook or you're joining us later on YouTube. You are part of our community, and we hope we've made you feel at home here at UMB. And we want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If it's your first time with us, be sure to pick up a newcomer packet on your way out. Our chaplain on duty today is Jan Lindenthal Cox. She's got her stole on, so you will know who she is, and she is available to pray with you after the service. There are also prayer request slips in the pews that can be placed in the wooden box by the door. So stay prayed up. With all of that, we are ready for our closing circle for our prayer for protection and our peace song.
They're going in.
Oh, goodness.
They're
Yes.
getting in there.
Again.
Oh, yeah. That's the way to do it.
Hey, that's my banana. Hands off my banana.
Sweet. around Jan.
So as we once again form this sacred circle of love and community, I invite you to just bring to your mind and to your heart the city of Buffalo and all those who've been affected by the most recent tragedy. It's hard for us to make sense of it, but we just allow our hearts to be broken open, and we ask Spirit to show us the way forward, to show us what is ours to do. So we uplift everyone affected by that and just hold them in our hearts as we say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all
is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let